Welcome to Taiwan, which is probably one of the most underrated destinations we've ever been to. We're currently on a road trip around the entirety of the island for the next 7 days, and we're going to be bringing you along with us. From sun-drenched islands to impossibly deep gorges and bustling modern cities, in this travel guide we're going to show you the very best of Taiwan, including top attractions and hidden gems. And if you're wondering about Taipei, then we have a whole other video all about it already on the channel. Today, we're going to be exploring the beautiful Taroko Gorge in the Hualien region. This area is known for its stunning scenery. Unfortunately, it was badly damaged in 2024 during a massive earthquake, and so a lot of the park remains closed. However, there are a few trails to explore, and so we're going to start by doing the one right next to the visitor center before we can actually end up driving through the gorge, because you can only drive through the gorge at certain times of the day. The trail should take around an hour to around an hour and a half, depending on your pace. It is really steep. You're walking up all of these flights of stairs through a lush green jungle. En route, we've already seen lots of birds and butterflies, and while the coverage is quite thick, you can still make out the mountains beyond. It's really, really beautiful here, though you'll definitely want to bring a lot of water. We also saw some monkeys on the road coming in, so maybe we'll spot some in the forest. Even if you only make it as far as the visitor center when you're in this region and you can't make it all the way up the gorge due to the road closures, the views from this hiking trail are honestly spectacular, and we can really get an idea of the enormity of the gorge. We've made it almost to the top. We just met a really friendly tourist on the route who told us that it's around 100 meters to reach the end of the trail. And from there, it's another 2 to 3 kilometers down a really steep, slippery slope in order to reach back to the village. So we're going to come back the way we came, because we have to get to the car by 10 so that we can actually drive through the gorge and see more of the attractions in the park. The Declan Trail was really beautiful, but I do recommend doing it in the morning because you'll probably get the best lighting. Already, we're starting to see that it's becoming a bit misty around. We saw monkeys, we saw butterflies. Do be cautious though, because there's a lot of monkey poo on the trail and there is the risk of hornets. As I mentioned earlier, as part of the reopening and restoration process, you can only access the Gorge Road, which is Highway 8, a few times a day. Now, when you go through, you have to go through without stopping. However, it's definitely worth it. And even as a driver, I really enjoyed all of the scenery. We're now at the other end of the roadblock, and to be honest, most trails are still closed. There are a few that are open, but I do still think the national park is worth visiting, because look at this, the views are simply spectacular. It's one of the most beautiful places we've been in Taiwan. One of the main spots that's still open to visitors is the town of Chishang, and this is just after the roadblock. Here you'll find normal things like restaurants and even a post office. There's also an abundance of monkeys, so you do have to be careful with your things. We just saw a woman get part of her bag stolen, and there's even signs everywhere saying about how cunning the cats are. Anyway, once you get here, I just can't even begin to tell you how stunning it is in person. I'm sure it's coming across a little bit in the video. We can see a pagoda, a temple, and of course the power of the water running through the gorge. Stroll across the very, very large Pudu Bridge and you'll get to the entrance of the Zhangzhi Temple, which is crowned by the Tianfeng Pavilion, which overlooks the rest of the town. It's one of the few things in the park that you can actually see right now, and so we're going to climb up. The devastating earthquake which affected Hualien in 2024 resulted in 19 casualties. This was not the only tragedy to strike in 2024, as more significant typhoons followed, which resulted in further damage to the area. It's really impressive how the national park has managed to rebuild so much of the infrastructure here and allow visitors to come back once more. You'll find that if you come at the moment, we're here in spring of 2026, there aren't that many tourists because a lot of people are waiting for reopening, but tourism is really needed and it's honestly so stunning. I really recommend it. Because you can only drive through the parks at certain times, we've decided to leave at a time where there's 1 hour time slot to leave rather than just 5 minutes, so that we can go more at our own pace and we don't have loads of people behind us. Already we're driving over the most magnificent bridge. On your way out, do keep your eyes peeled because you don't want to miss probably the most beautiful temple in the whole of the park. That is the Temple of the Eternal Spring Shine. Hualien is not just the name of the region, but also the biggest city close to Taroko National Park. Now, as you can see, it's a little bit rainy outside, which to be honest is par for the course here. It's one of the rainiest places in Taiwan, this area, and that is what makes it so green. You'll definitely want to come prepared with a raincoat though. It was pretty rainy, and so we had a quick lunch at Rebase, an art cafe which feels like sitting inside an exhibition space. I feel like you can tell it rains a lot here because of all these arcades, but there is somewhere else you can go if it's a rainy day when you come to the city. Many places across Taiwan have cultural parks, which are former disused factories and the like that have been transformed into creative spaces. Hualien is no different, and there are a few galleries here as well as shops and breweries. The park is actually sat within a former winery, which once produced both red wine and rice wine. It's formed of over a dozen old warehouse buildings, but as they were in the process of switching out exhibitions, there wasn't a huge deal of things to see. The east coast of Taiwan is known for its stunning scenery, and there are a few different ways to explore the coast. There's basically two coastal routes which reach from Hualien down to the south in Taitung, and today we are going to drive alongside the sea. The other way is to go through the East Rift Valley, which is lush and green, but we really want to see more of the sea. We're beginning the day at probably one of the most unique Starbucks in the world because it's made out of old shipping containers. Now, I wouldn't normally recommend going to a Starbucks because there's so many independent cafes, but they have a lot of cool merch that represents the shipping containers, and it's honestly very unique to be in a cafe inside a shipping container. Okay, so now we've got our coffee for the day, let's head out. In general, driving in Taiwan is just the same as driving in many other places in the world. Most drivers follow the rules, stick to the speed limits, and the roads are in really good condition. The only thing to be wary of is wild monkeys and stray dogs. Our first real stop on the way to Taitung is the Shibi Hill. This is essentially a little trail up directly from the road. It is mainly steps, but from the top, I think we'll have a nice scenic view. Now, I have to say, this is probably one of the easiest road trips we've ever been on. There is parking everywhere. At every car park, there are also toilets, and it's all really well planned out. You can't talk about the east coast of Taiwan without mentioning the indigenous peoples. Now, there are 16 officially recognized groups, and they are an Austronesian people. When you're driving around, you'll find lots of signs referencing the indigenous people, as this is of course their land, and there is a real ongoing effort in order to preserve their culture, tradition, and languages. We're around 3/4 of the way up, and already the views are stunning. We can see mountains surrounding us, and we can hear the sea either side because this is a little bit of land that juts out to sea. The summit is pretty peaceful, and we can even hear some crickets chirping. We do have to get on to our next spot of the day though, because it does get dark quite early, around 6 p.m. So we've got a few more things to pack in before the end of the day. Around a 25-minute drive from the previous trail, you'll find another free to park car park. Now, you'll definitely want to stop off here because this is the entrance to a walkway which leads to Shimen Cave. Shimen literally means stone door in Chinese, and it's so called because it's a natural stone archway which resembles a door. Now, the area is particularly famous because it was featured in Martin Scorsese's film Silence. The really cool thing about March Cave is that over thousands of years, the sea has carved out the rock, meaning that 3 sides of the cave are open towards the land and 1 is open towards the air. And that's not the only thing of interest here, because apparently a local guide just told me that if I sit like this and pretend I'm driving, it's shaped like a car. What do you think? Another opening of the cave, well, the ceiling one is allegedly shaped like a heart. The only thing I would say before coming here is make sure to check tide times, because obviously you can only come to a sea cave when it's low tide because of safety reasons. I think what really strikes me when I'm standing here beneath mist-colored mountains and surrounded by rock pools, which are indeed filled with animals like little shrimps. The nature here is definitely a bit different from what we saw yesterday in Hualien. I can't believe we've only driven 100 or so kilometers, and yet we're surrounded by a lush tropical forest, which is very different from what we've seen before. This is also a great spot to see local fishermen at work, and talking of those, it's time to head to our next spot. If you have extra time, then you can actually follow a trail alongside the coast all the way to Taitung, but we don't actually have the time because of all the things that we have to fit in. So we're going to head out in the car now. Taitung literally means stone steps in Mandarin, and this area is also home to the Shiti fishing harbour. Here you'll find a traditional fishing village. I think there are a few fish restaurants, but they're currently closed. And there's obviously all of these gorgeous fishing boats in bright blue. The Tropic of Cancer landmark denotes the spot where the subtropic ends and the tropic begins. In Taiwan itself, this means that the area we're heading to in the south is more tropical, and this is where fruits such as pineapples and custard apples are grown. If you head here on the 21st of June, well, the summer solstice, then something very special happens if it happens to be sunny. If you come here at midday, due to the position of the Earth, there is no shadow underneath this landmark at midday. After we passed the Tropic of Cancer landmark yesterday afternoon, quite late in the day, it ended up raining pretty heavily, and so we abandoned our plans and drove to our hotel in Taitung, where we woke up this morning and it happens to be blue skies. Therefore, we've decided that the East Coast Scenic National Area is definitely a spot we should be exploring today. So we're going to be exploring some of the areas around Taitung, which are particularly worth focusing on. Now, when you look at postcards of Taitung, then one of the first things you'll probably see is the Sanxiantai bridge. Now, this is an 8-archway pedestrian bridge that leads over to an island of the same name. The island is steeped in legend, and it's said that 3 immortals came down to Earth and set foot on the island, and that is why it's now home to 3 peaks. We are super lucky with the weather today because it's even a bit sunny and we can see blue sky, which is not the case often in this region, as we saw yesterday. And so I'm hoping we can get some really beautiful footage for you. Although the archway bridge is quite far from anything else, for example, it's around an hour from Taitung, I definitely think it's worth the effort to come here, especially on a sunny day. It's one of the most beautiful places we've been in all of Taiwan. Ever since we crossed the Tropic of Cancer line yesterday, I'm really shocked at the sheer difference in all of the scenery. The plant species here remind me a lot of our time in Okinawa, Japan, which I guess is not too far away, and which we also have a video on. Anyway, it's time to head onto the bridge itself. Often likened to a dragon, the 8 Arches Bridge is over 300 meters long. It was built in the 1980s, though I think it was recently renovated because a lot of reviews from around a year ago said it was closed. And it withstands the daily force of the Pacific Ocean, which means that it's quite an impressive feat of engineering. Now that we're on the bridge itself, we definitely have a bit of a different view, and we can see just how blue the ocean is. You can probably hear from the audio and see from my hair, but it is incredibly windy here. You wouldn't want to wear a hat. Sanxiantai Island doesn't have any attractions or things to do, but it is a very nice island in the Pacific you can walk around. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a tidal island, so once upon a time before they built this bridge, people could come out at low tide or on a boat, but now you can walk across the boardwalk, enjoy some local flowers, plants, and maybe even spy some birds. This island I definitely recommend. We only just stepped foot here and we've already seen a skink, the likes of which I've never seen before because it had an orange-red belly. The island is larger than I expected, and so if you want to come to this area, see the bridge, walk around the entirety of the island, you'll need 2 to 4 hours, depending on how often you stop for photos. I've even just seen that you can climb all the way up at the end point. We just came around the corner and there are lots of local fishermen who are actually catching quite big fish. Now, we managed to talk to them using Google Translate. They were really friendly and I said, oh, can we take a video together? And they ended up handing me like this massive fish. But they were really nice, and they also said Happy Lunar New Year. Now, the real reason we came around the corner was to come inside this sea cave. It looks to be quite large. It's really dark in here. I was a bit hesitant to come in here because there was a sign saying watch out for poisonous snakes, but it's really cavernous and quite incredible that this has been carved out by the sea. Obviously, you always have to be mindful of tide times whenever you're near the sea, but I really enjoyed getting to see the wildlife in the rock pools. My absolute favourite was spotting a banded sea crate as well as an angelfish. While I could obviously stay here all day and keep watching the birds, enjoying the sound of the sea, we have other places we have to go to today, so let's head on out. Our next stop of the day is the gorgeous township of Chishang, which is often regarded to be the Garden of Taiwan because this is one of the biggest rice growing regions in the whole of the island. Approximately 1,200 to 1,500 hectares of land are dedicated to rice growing in this township alone, and there are 2 harvests per year. Apparently, if you get rice in some of the restaurants here, it's some of the freshest in all of Taiwan. Another spot which is full of rice paddies and is on the way to Taitung is Loi. Now this area is particularly well known for its 2-story water bridge. Because of the landscape of this area, the water doesn't end up in some of the fields here for the rice paddies naturally, and so this ingenious feat of engineering allows irrigation of the crops. Today we have switched to the west coast of Taiwan. We made our way from Taitung this morning all the way to Kaohsiung, and we've stopped off on the way at the Guang Shan Buddha Museum. This is one of the largest temple complexes in all of Taiwan, and it's apparently very beautiful. What makes this temple so special is that there's a central promenade culminating in a giant golden Buddha. Alongside the walkway, you'll find 8 pagodas, and right at the end, next to the big Buddha, there are 4 stupas. The temple complex is honestly so nice. There are actually a number of different museums here, and you're allowed to film and take photos of all of them. The only place inside where you can't take photos are obviously in the shrines themselves, which you are still free to enter and admire. We've just come up now to the Big Buddha Terrace, which is so called obviously because this is where the Big Buddha is located, but it also gives us a great view onto the 8 pagodas. Kaohsiung is the 2nd largest city in Taiwan and home to its largest port. It's very different from the capital, Taipei, as it's a city that is rapidly changing. There's lots of innovative projects everywhere, lots of street art, hipster areas and more. And over the next couple of days, we're going to be exploring this area, including meeting someone who actually lives here. We're beginning our time here in Central Park because our hotel is right next to it, and it's so called, of course, because it's centrally located. This is a serene green space and makes for a lovely juxtaposition with what we're going to see next. Now for our next stop of the day, we actually have to head down into the MRT system, which is really well developed. You can get the metro pretty much anywhere touristic here in Kaohsiung, and this will give us a good idea as to the artistic development of the city over the past decade or two. Let's go. Thanks to the repurposing of former industrial buildings, as well as intentional citywide efforts in order to bring more artwork into everyday life, across Kaohsiung you'll find lots of street art, installations and cutting-edge architecture and design. One such example of this is the Dome of Light. This took 4 years to create and represents 4 different elements, including water, earth, light and fire. One of the most spectacular temples in Kaohsiung is the Sanfeng Temple, which has over 300 years worth of history, though it was moved to its present location in 1971. Now it's renowned for its alleys of lanterns. So let's go in and have a look at how beautiful it is. One thing to note about this temple that we unfortunately didn't get to see is that it's renowned for its beauty at night, when all of the lanterns are illuminated, and so if you're able to, I definitely recommend going here in the evening. Here too is a district that is rapidly changing, and you might be able to hear in the audio that there are still construction works going on. Well, this area is full of warehouses which were no longer used for industrial purposes, and so they've been transformed into bars, cafes and galleries. The entire area is filled with beautiful street art, and so it's really fun to wander around on a sunny day such as today. This district is also home to several museums, including the Hamasan Museum of Taiwan Railway, where you can ride on a miniature locomotive and you can visit a miniature train exhibition. It's actually way slower than I expected, but quite fun. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess it's for the best.
What?
Safety first.
This whole museum is really fun. There is a section dedicated to foods on trains. There's another section dedicated to history, but I would say it's probably more geared towards young families than anyone else, although we do personally find it quite fun. And now we're going to go see the miniature trains in action. The first thing that really struck me when it came to the miniature models is just how detailed they are, perfectly reconstructing entire sections of Kaohsiung and even imitating day and nighttime scenes. There are other Taiwanese landscapes depicted too, which was pretty fun as we had seen some of these sites in real life earlier in the week. We definitely could have stayed here for hours admiring all of the finer touches. Before we head on to our next stop of the day, we've decided to stop for a little coffee break. This is a small hut next to some of the warehouses, and we picked up some coffee, a chocolate. The owner was super friendly, so all in all, a good stop off. One of the most iconic places to visit in all of Kaohsiung, especially at golden hour, is the Lotus Pond. There are a few places of interest here, but the main things to do are to go inside the pagodas of the dragon and the tiger. In the past, a common tourist mistake would have been to enter via the mouth of the tiger, and this is something the locals wouldn't do because who would enter into the mouth of a tiger? Now there is luckily a sign to help people avoid doing that. So we're going to go into the mouth of the dragon. The pagodas are each 7 stories high, that you can only climb to the 6th floor. You can climb up either of them, but I definitely recommend heading up the one of the dragon because this has the better view onto the rest of the lake. The other benefit of coming here just before sunset is that not only do you get to see the pagodas during the daytime and wander around the inside because they do close at night, but you can then stay a little after the sunset in order to see them lit up. When it came to food and drink, there was one spot in Taiwan that I definitely wanted to try, and so we walked around 25 minutes in order to reach our dinner destination. Din Tai Fung is obviously a worldwide chain, but one of the best places to get it is of course here because this is where it came from. And if you come to the branch in Kaohsiung, you'll often have to wait 1 to 2 hours to actually get a table, so hopefully it's worth it. Even though it's a bit on the pricey side, I absolutely loved our entire experience and all of the food. Because most of the dishes are made for sharing, you also get to try a huge selection of things, making it a fun evening out. It's a beautiful sunny day out, and so it's the perfect time to head out on a day trip from the city. We're going to head to Cijin Island. Now this island is 8.5 kilometers long and is known for its sandy beaches and amazing seafood. It's just a 10-minute ferry ride to get there from Kaohsiung, so we're going to hop on a ferry now. Almost as soon as you step foot on Cijin Island, you'll come to Cijin Old Street, which is where you can rent bikes and rosalies to explore the rest of the island. We have just come in front of this stunning local temple, which is full of intricate carvings. We're now going to head up to the old fort. So our first stop of the day on this island is coming up to Kaohsiung Lighthouse, which has incredible views over the port. The lighthouse itself was constructed in 1883 and then rebuilt in 1918. And from here, you can also get views onto the island itself, which is full of colourful houses. I should mention that today we are very kindly joined by our friend Rami, who lives here. And how long have you lived here?
I've lived in Kaohsiung now for 2 months. But before that, I lived in Taiwan for 2 years in Taipei. Right now, I'm teaching English here and just kind of enjoying slow life.
And you've been to this island before?
I have been here a few times already, yeah.
Obviously, stamping is a very popular pastime here. Can you tell us more about it?
Yes, okay. So I got this stamp book that looks exactly like a Taiwanese passport from the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall in Taipei, but you can find in other places too. And when you go to like touristic spots, you'll often find stamps that you can just go ahead and stamp them. So it's pretty neat pastime.
Let's see what the stamp gives us.
All right. So, oh, there you go.
It's the lighthouse. So where are we headed to now?
Right now we're headed to an old colonial Japanese era fort.
Okay. And then afterwards we'll head back down and get like a rosalie and then do the rest of the island.
And do the beach and get some coconut water, yeah.
Oh, sounds good. How did you learn Mandarin?
10 years ago, I lived in China for a year under a scholarship to learn Mandarin. it doesn't exist anymore, so I got lucky. And came back to Canada. There were 8 years where I was like just maintaining my language, not really getting better. And then when I moved to Taipei, it was just sort of like day-to-day living. And now that I'm in Kaohsiung, where like the level of English is less than it is in the big city, like I'm getting to use a lot more and even starting to learn a bit of Taiwanese, which is really cool.
So what does this say?
So this says something along the lines of like military installation, do not go in. If you go in, injuries at your own risk. Or you can just look at warning and be like, I get the message.
Chihu Fort was originally built during the Qing dynasty in the late 19th century, though it's best known today as a landmark from Taiwan's Japanese colonial era. I think it's so nice to walk around with someone who can actually read a lot of the characters, because I feel like we're getting more cultural context that way.
Yeah, and like there's so many tidbits, like once you start sort of scratching beneath the surface. These characters are the characters for happiness, xi, and there's 2 of them, so shuangxi. And it's like double happiness. Typically you'll find them a lot in like marriages. Like similar to those kind of little paper posters, they'll have them there. Night markets are really common to just sort of like go for a night out, and they'll typically have like a lot of food that you won't otherwise find. A lot of stinky tofu, a lot of seafood also. For example, this one is a day market. There's also like the distinction between day and night markets, and you'll usually find them sort of in touristy areas like this. And for example, you can get like coconut juice. The small one is for 100, the big one is for 150. Which one do you want?
A small one.
Okay, 我们要三个小的。
3个小的，
它的肉是粉红色的。
这个是胭脂野，胭脂野是比较少的
哦。
它是白的，不一样，这是品种哦。
这个椰子是冰冻的还是越南的？
哦，是台湾的。
都是台湾的。They're all Taiwanese, and what he's saying is that he'll probably ask you to drink a bit of it so it doesn't overflow. That's what I was doing just now.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. I like all of the games too. That's like really novel to be able to play all of these different kinds of games that you wouldn't see anywhere else.
So I'm not getting the big prize anymore. It's been such a nice excuse to play these games having you here.
Lucky.
Almost. Because I would never play them usually because I'm like, there are always scams. Sometimes the vendors will sell coconut from Vietnam, but this one like made it a point on their signage to even say like those are only Taiwanese coconuts, so those are local.
I feel like it tastes way nicer than a coconut water that you'd buy in the supermarket. It's a bit like more savory.
Yeah, 100%. And like the way you're consuming it just adds so much to it. Like it would be so much better than just drinking from plastic bottle, right?
And now at the beach too, on a tropical island. Like,
yes.
It's just the best.
Hello.
I feel like we're really getting the island vibes. Like it's all really laid back. Everyone's really friendly.
Oh, it's like super chill.
What made you decide to move to Taiwan?
Like I mentioned, I studied Mandarin in China for a year, and during winter break, I decided to travel around the area. When I came back to China, like I told myself, like I really want to go back here. And it took me 8 years, but then I had the opportunity to come and study in Taipei at the National Taiwan University. And when I finished, I kind of felt that pace of life over there was a bit too quick for me and too career focused, and I just want something slower where I can like get to interact with people and learn more about the culture. And I traveled around the island after I graduated, and Kaohsiung just stuck out as a place that like is big enough to not be boring, but also where people are just so friendly, and like you notice it, how people interact with you here is different from the north.
We've made it all the way to the end of the island, which I'm not sure we were meant to take the Rosalie bike to, but now that we're here, we can see all of these traditional fishing boats and lots of dogs. After enjoying a beautiful sunset on the island, it was then time to head back to the mainland by boat in order to go for dinner. We ended up going to Yancheng First Public Retail Market, which is a recently revitalized space featuring lots of different mini cafes and bars in an indoor market area. We even got to meet a very popular cat who probably wanted to taste our food more than anything else. I have to admit that before coming to Taiwan, I knew very little about this island nation, other than the fact that it's located in East Asia and it's also a huge technology hub. For example, the camera gear that we're filming on right now was made here. However, over the course of the past week, what we've seen is an incredible destination filled with natural wonders, futuristic cities, and very friendly people. And I really regret not booking more time here, though that just means that we'll have to come back. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more travel content. See you next time.